Hello and good day to you. My name is Nate. This is Limping Through Models with Nate, and here we are, part one of the Chicken Salad Challenge of the IHC Tornado model. I'm going to get started on some of the painting, some of the cleaning, prepping, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So with all of that in mind, let's get started. I started the Google machine to find more pictures of the actual Tornado ride. Come to find out, that doesn't even look like the picture on the front of the box either. So I decided to pivot from my original intention of making this model look like the picture on the box to make it look like its real-life counterpart. To do so, I collect a bunch of pictures from the real ride and drop them in a folder for reference. After careful review of the source material, I moved to start prepping parts for paint. There's only a handful of pieces I'm concerned about painting now, as these are parts which will receive the most embellishment. Using a combination of sprue cutters and various grit sandpaper, I clean up the spinning base, the top and bottom sections of the buckets, and the boards for the backdrop. An additional step in the preparation is cutting a notch in the ride base to accommodate the gondola arm that rises the spinning base vertically. There are grooves molded into the base that I was able to use as a guide, and with a miter saw I carefully cut that notch out, hoping to God I don't slip up. A file and sanding stick were used to further clean up the area. The next step is something I admittedly never do with plastic models, and that's clean the parts. That's right, I paint most of my plastic models with all the oils and muck still on the parts. So what? It works for me. However, I felt that if I were to make chicken salad, I needed to make sure the chicken is cleaned before preparation. I use your typical dish soap and water routine. I rinse, lay out the pieces, and set the parts out in the sun to dry. After a sufficient drying time, I begin to prep the parts for paint. The first thing I'm going to do is prime these parts with some white Tamiya surface primer. To do this, I gather all the paint sticks I can find and some of my double-sided tape and lay out strips on the paint sticks. I then space out all the bucket parts on the sticks so that I have room to maneuver the spray can around. For the bucket parts, I have collected various metal spray paints to use, including a gold for the bucket tops, metallic blue, metallic green, metallic purple, and a metallic pink not pictured. The base receives a coat of nickel. I have resolved to redo the backdrop included in the kit to make it more realistic. To do this, I start by scanning the existing decals into my computer. Then, using a program called paint.net, I manipulate the acquired images. This is a handy program I found many years ago that is essentially Microsoft Paint on steroids. You're able to do many things with this program, like manipulate layers and distort images, that you cannot do with your standard paint. And the best part, it's free. Full disclosure, I am not receiving any sort of kickback from this product. I just like using it. The first step is to bring my scanned decals into paint.net, cut out the backdrop, and paste it into a new file. Pro tip, if you highlight your intended selection before creating your new file, the new file will default to the length and width of your selection. I then take the magic wand to select the white space of the image. I had to adjust the tolerance slightly to make sure only the white space areas were selected. When satisfied with the selection, I hit the delete key. In the next bit, I could have avoided paint bucketing the blue color over the whole backdrop piece by selecting the transparent space with the magic wand, inverting the selection, creating a new layer, and drop the paint bucket into the carried over selection on the new layer. But I didn't, so I'll remember that for next time. Looking through the source pictures, I found a really good photo that captures most of the backdrop. I used this initially to copy the main focal points of the backdrop, including the man at the helm, the lady paddling through the tornado, and the ladies hanging out on the beach, with one already being taken airborne by this dangerous storm. Next time you're at a carnival, check out these backdrops of some of these rides. They have some really crazy stuff going on. After fiddling around too much with the individual scenes, I decided to straight up copy and paste whole sections of the backdrop onto the decal. This saved me a lot of time and headache in trying to find a suitable background for all these piecemeal parts. After some stretching and cropping, I have a backdrop I'm happy with. However, the backdrop pattern does not match the actual flourishes on the model backdrop. To fix this, I go back to the scanner and scan the complete backdrop onto the computer. I do some similar cleanup to this backdrop that I did to the other. I create a new layer on top of this backdrop and paste the previous backdrop on top. I scale, manipulate, and crop this backdrop on top of the actual backdrop. I then select the base layer, select each backdrop panel with the magic wand, invert the selection, select the top backdrop layer, then hit delete to delete everything within the selection, leaving the backdrop with the flourishes matching the actual model pieces. I print out a test backdrop to make sure I had the right width for the print. It matched perfectly with the actual backdrop pieces, so I was comfortable to continue. I load my printer tray with a single sheet of the decal paper, shiny side down, and the print comes off the paper, and again, it matches with the actual model parts. Back to painting now. I had to throw on multiple coats of the white primer to find some sense of uniformity between yellow and blue bucket pieces. Additionally, I only sprayed the stair faces of the ride base as I'm going to give these a coat of that pink metallic spray paint. The priming did expose a few bits of flashing which needed to be cleaned up before these pieces received their eventual final coat of paint. I prepped the paint sticks again with more strips of double-sided tape, this time intending to spray the backdrop pieces the same nickel as the bases. All the bucket tops will be placed on one stick and the bottoms of the buckets on the other two, front and back. I thought this would be a good idea at first to save on some stick space. However, due to the angles I had to take with spraying, I had to spray one side of the sticks, let dry, remove, then spray the other side. 24 hours after my trip to the spray booth, also known as my deck, I masked the pink metallic areas on the base. I sprayed the fronts of the steps and one section of the base past the steps on either side. These will be the only visible parts of the section of the base, as the others will be covered by the backdrop pieces. After spraying the base with the nickel and waiting another 24 hours, I peel off the masked areas to show perfectly painted steps. Alright, so a lot of preparation has started with the model. As you saw at the end right here, we got the base of the Tornado. We have the pink sort of sparkly, I guess, fronts here for the front of the model. That came out really well. I was able to mask it without much of an issue, except there's like a little bit of a spill right here. Not too worried about that. It's not that big a deal. Maybe a fingernail will take care of it. I'm not going any further with that. It could mess it up even more. But so far, I'm liking how this is looking here. Again, I got the actual base of the spinning portion of the model done here, painted. I'm going to have to add a yellow line around the edge here, kind of like a warning line for that. And of course the backdrops are painted, and this is going to be the front where the decal is going to drop onto, and that's the back, of course, completely painted and everything. That's looking good so far. And the final portion, which you did not see in the video, is the coloring of the cars here, and also the gloss coat coverage of all these parts here. So I got about 3 or 4 layers of gloss on the decal here. Most of the things I've read about these sort of decal sheets of paper, you need at least 3 coats of some sort of clear coat on top of it. And also clear coat on the cars here. Now most of these cars already had a shine, the colors I used already had a shine to them. but the shine wasn't uniform. So I just decided to put a gloss clear coat over everything to give a more uniform shine, because when you're at a carnival, these sorts of cars are really shiny and you want to be able to capture that in model form as well. And what's really nice is that the shine actually brought out some of the flake and the gold, which wasn't there before, because even though this was a gold flake, it was really dull, but the shine really brought that out. I brought out the green, you got the blues here, purple here, and then the pink metallic flake here, which kind of, I don't know what happened. There might have been some sort of reaction, but the flake of the pink here just kind of almost bubbled, but it's not too bad. It's still workable and manageable, and I'll stick with it and go from there. So next time around, I don't know if I'll be putting these together just yet. I need to look at the instructions to see exactly the method and when these are going to be put together onto this and all that good stuff. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, and do everything you have to do to get to the next video, where I will continue to make some glorious chicken salad out of this model. But until then, see you next time.